Good. Okay. Good morning, Australia. Good morning, world. Tetka and I are here this morning having a chat about spiritual pathways. We had a blab last week about Tetka's art, which was great fun. That was really good. I think you still have that on file, don't you, Tetka, if someone wants to listen to that?
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about spiritual pathways. And Tetka, you were asking about how I started my work as a psychic and about my spiritual pathway. And I said to you, well, I think my path started many lifetimes ago. At least that's what I feel. And I know I am not on my own when I say that. Many psychics do believe they have had past lives, and many people believe they had past lives here on Earth. And this is confirmed very often by how you feel when you go to visit a place you've never been to before. And my spiritual awakening was exactly in 1985. I did know prior to that I was psychic because my premonitions were always warnings for friends and family, which were always verified when the time came. I'll give you one example. At one stage, I woke up suddenly in the middle of the night, and at the time I was married, I said to my husband, and we weren't at home, I said, we need to go home immediately. And he said, why? I said, well, I'm not too sure, but there's danger. There's absolute danger everywhere. I said, we must go now. And he said, are you having a nightmare? I said, no. And that was one of my first psychic experiences, I must admit. I was a bit put out by it. But anyway, he said, no, go back to sleep. Nothing's happening. Anyway, we eventually went back in the morning to find that someone had broken through the wall of my business and stolen everything in the place.
Wow.
He said I should have listened. That was my first experience. Then after that, I had many others, to the point that I really became quite worried about this. I thought, I don't want this responsibility. I thought, I really do not want this responsibility. I tried to ignore it, but you can't ignore it. If you have a pathway to follow, which is spiritual, which is psychic, you can't deny it and you can't ignore it. And I think most psychics would agree with that. I feel that once you've opened that door, or that door has been opened to you, you can't turn back.
Exactly. And that was the essence of what got me started. It was like the spiritual pathway was, for me, opened up through a very deep, dark hole of depression. And it was meditation and white light that got me out of it. And the words that were given to me were that, once the doorway's open, don't close it, because it could be millennia. And
yes,
no, let the doorway open so others can open further. And that's exactly what's happened, because our soul knows the journey, and when we trust that,
Yes, our soul does know the journey. And my pathway, we'll call it spiritual pathway, opened more and more and more. And we'll go back now to 1985, when I travelled for the first time to Egypt. It really wasn't my choice. It was my travel agent's choice that I should go there, but I went along with it. And I said, okay, let's go to Egypt. Why not? And I went there, and I found it to be one of the most mystical places on this earth, and many would agree with that. I feel a lot of people feel they have had past lives in Egypt. I speak to many people about this, and have ever since then studied it very much in depth from 1985 onwards. And what happened when I arrived in Egypt was, the usual tourist trails that people do. But what was very interesting was that most of the people that I met along the way would be speaking Egyptian to me. And I would say, I'm not Egyptian. And they say, oh, yes, you are. I say, no, I'm not. I'd say I'm actually Italian born. I live in Australia and I'm traveling in Egypt. I'm not Egyptian. They say, oh, yes, you are. You are one of us. You are one of us. And this became so strong around me. Anyway, I accepted that and I enjoyed the experience. And I'm sitting in front of the Great Pyramid. It was late afternoon, waiting for the sound and light show, which they have traditionally every evening, the Son and Lumiere, they call it. And I'm sitting there and I walked in, there's hundreds of people. And I thought, no, I do not want to be a part of this. I need to be on my own. So I got my little deck chair and I put it over the ropes. So I had all the people behind me. And in front of me, I had the Sphinx. So there was myself, the sand, the Sphinx, and the Great Pyramid directly behind the Sphinx. And I sat there quietly thinking, oh, I'm really going to enjoy this. It was a very balmy evening, so I sat and relaxed. And as they turned the lights on and shined them on the Sphinx and then onto the pyramid, as it lit up, I thought, wow, this is amazing. As I thought this is amazing, it was like I got sucked out of my body. I was no longer there. And the Great Pyramid, with the light shining on it, turned into a very deep golden road, and it felt like metal. I felt like I was actually spinning along on gold, the metal gold. It was a very, very strong experience. It took me very, very high, and I wanted to keep going. I thought, oh, I'm never going back. I have to keep going. I have to reach that end. I have to get to that point, that end of this golden road. And then someone put the brakes on me, or some force put the brakes on me, and I heard voices in my head saying, beautiful deep voices saying, okay, Ornella, it's not your time. You can't come all the way. You need to go back. You have so much that you can do for other people. You have so much yet to do. You have a pathway still to follow. And boom, all of a sudden, I was back in my seat, back to reality. And I thought, oh my God, what happened? I left there in quite a stressed state, I might add. I was crying. I was very distressed. I did not understand what was happening. And it took me along a pathway of intense study for the next 5 years, talking to Buddhist priests, shamans, priests of all religions, people who had studied all these things, Egyptologists. And the conclusion that I came to, and that these spiritual masters told me had happened to me, was that I had reached nirvana and it had been a gift. And they told me that this happens to many people, but they usually have to study meditation for many, many years to be able to reach that point of going out of body spiritually. And I felt very blessed to have experienced this, and I still do to this day. It is something that never leaves me. It has never left me for 1 second. It left me with a calm and peace which I have never known before, but it will never leave me. And I'm blessed, I feel, and very grateful to be able to pass this on to other people. When I say pass this on to other people, it has been a learning curve for me in as much as finding how to transmit this to other people. So I've now become a Reiki practitioner, which is an ancient Japanese modality of hands-on healing with people. I learned all about tarot, which people say, oh, what does tarot do? It's a pack of cards. Well, it's not. It's like the book of life, and it's a very interesting modality which people who are not spiritual can relate to. It is excellent for guidance, to assist people in making decisions about all aspects of their life. And I've been reading for many, many years now. And I do love to help people through a tarot reading, and I do many readings and have a lot of people. I think I've read for thousands now. I don't count anymore. but I get a lot of feedback from people saying how much they appreciate the help that they get through this. And now also, because of the travel part, my attraction to Egypt, and my attraction to other countries as well, I have traveled extensively throughout Europe, throughout the Middle East, throughout the Asian countries. Never been to the United States, guys. Looking forward to that one day to see what's over there. But Spiritual Pathways is now opening journeys where I do, together with other psychics, take people on journeys. We have Bali scheduled this year. Next year we're looking at Peru. Then we're looking at Egypt once again, 2017, 2018, England. We want to see the Stonehenge. But it's not just to see the countries and see what is there. It's actually to open spiritual pathways for other people to see if they can also relate to these sacred sites and find their own spiritual path. So, if anyone wants to know more about this, please go to my Facebook page. On my Facebook page, I'm Ornella Michelini. I work under the name AURANA, AURANA. That name was given to me in Egypt. The 3 A's came from the 3 pyramids, hence the name AURANA, AURANA. So you can find me under both names. AURANA is my work name and Ornella Michelini is my birth name.
Okay, so now I'm going to just
ask questions. Yeah, ask questions.
Yeah, I'm just going to step in here because basically, I'm loving that you're going to be taking all these people on these journeys to open the spiritual pathways.
Yes.
And I have to share with everybody that when I first met Ornella, it was like Ornella has been involved in the fashion industry also for many, many years, and it's incredible. And I've actually got on I don't know if you can see it, my jacket.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. And I bought this jacket from Ornella, but what I really wanted to bring forward was that it's interesting because I have many chats with God, and effectively I had moved to a new area in Brisbane, and I really had left behind all my friends, and I said I'd really like to open up to meeting new people and to people that resonate with me and friends, and then I was taken to this dress shop, and as soon as I walked in, here's this lady, and she's got this incredible gold medallion on her throat. Yeah, and it was from Egypt. Now, my point in bringing this up is that, Ornella's been talking about spiritual pathways, and for me, it's like when you open that spiritual pathway within yourself, and often these ancient places that you're speaking of where you're taking people, they have such a profound impact that it's like, poof, open. But you attract people into your life that, are so soul connected. And that to me is exciting because that's what happened on that day. There was such a soul connection.
And soul connection. And I remember the first thing I asked you, I said, your name, Tetka, is very interesting. I said, where does it come from? And then that opened up a whole explanation from you as to your spiritual journey also and where your name came from, which is very unusual, but it is a spiritual name.
Oh, yeah.
And where it comes from. I was fascinated by that story.
Well, effectively, it's 2 parts. It means balance between all worlds, but in some cultures, the name Tetka actually means auntie. And this is an aside, and this is a little bit of fun. But when I was selling real estate, I'd have all these incredible people would come to me from the cultures where Tetka is known as auntie. And as soon as they met them, I'd say, hey, I'm not your auntie. And that immediately broke the ice and everyone laughed. But Tetka is actually a name that was given to me years and years ago. And it was such a big deal because I had no clue what it meant. And I actually changed my name to Tetka when everything changed. Even though people have been calling me Tetka for years and years, I changed it all legally because it's me. It's who I am. It's my soul pathway. And the balance between all worlds is represented as a pyramid that's opened up. Okay, so you've got a triangle like that and a triangle like that. But equally, intriguingly, the Tet is the word, if you will, for Osiris, the god Osiris. And and then Ka is the energy and the word again for Nephthys.
The breath of life.
The goddess Nephthys. So, which is
all about. Sorry to interrupt. So you have an ancient Egyptian name made up of two parts of the word Tet
and Ka,
which is highly, highly spiritual. In ancient Egypt, that is looked upon as a very spiritual name.
But it's intriguing because in order to, and this is something that people must appreciate, no matter what your name is, whether it be Mario, whether it be Jaron, whether it be Ryan, whether it be Ornella, whether it be Tetka or Rana, it's the energy, everything holds an energy that opens up to a spiritual aspect within ourselves. It's like a doorway into itself, and for me, that's so super empowering because, but it can also be very, very difficult because for me, in changing my name legally, it was like, oh my gosh, I had to own every single experience because I'd asked for the journey of Zen. And back when I was 23, which I'm ageless, everybody. And so
we're all ageless.
That's it, darling. And so basically, in order to be Zen, you've got to experience everything, life, no protection, no, for years I'd been using white light as a energy vortex to protect me from negative forces, etc. But you've got to face negative. You've got to face yourself. Spiritual pathways. It's not all about.
Let's get back to names. Names. The power of your name. The power of your name. This is very interesting. Now, why I also adopted the name AURANA was for that very reason that you're saying. The power in the name. It's very funny when I sit and do a reading for someone or a reading with someone or a healing or a Reiki session or I'm working with the crystals. When I am working with spiritual energy in any form, I need to use the name AURANA. If I call myself Ornella, I don't feel the same and I cannot do the work. Now, this is very strange. And people say, oh, what is your name? What should I call you? And I say, well, you can call me whatever you like. I said, but while I'm working, I call myself AURANA. And people find it strange, but I can understand you saying that you legally changed your name to Tetka because of the strength of the name, because you feel that you do own it. You feel it has been given to you and it is you.
Yeah, but that's my whole point. And what I was alluding to, the fact is that when we own something, claim it, and when it's given to us in such profound influences, be it the way that it was given to me or the way it was given to you, it's like you have to literally face the mirror and dare to be the warrior spirit that you are. Because most people think that spirituality is all about, off with the fairies or it's all lovely and joyous. Well, hello, baby. If you truly want to be spiritual, then you've got to face your stuff. And that's emotional crap, And that crap is held in our body.
It's very difficult because, as you said, many people do not understand spirituality. They think, oh, it's another religion. I say, no, hold on a moment. Religion is man-made. Spirituality is God sent. If you want to call the superpower God, I mean, we could call it anything, but people relate to it as God. some people relate to it as God, other religions refer to it as other names. But that what I call the superpower, the source that we connect to through our crown chakra here is very, very strong.
Yeah. Well, see, I've taken the word God and dissected it, and generator of divinity.
Yes.
God. So when I was on the island, I had a little car, and it had initials, and I said, "That's my God car." And they said, "What do you mean?" I said, "It's my generator of divinity." So as I drove people around it, to purchase real estate, they were in my generator of divinity. What a word!
Sorry to interrupt. The word spiritual confuses a lot of people, and it shouldn't, because spiritual, we all have spirituality. We are all spiritual. It's how we choose to use it. But as you say, if you're given that extra bit of knowledge, as we have been given as psychics, well, then you do have a responsibility to help other people along their pathway in that manner, and when people come along and say, "Oh, I don't believe in all this crap," excuse my expression, but that's what I hear, and I say, hold on a minute, what is it that you don't believe? You don't believe in yourself.
Yeah, you know what? I go back into the words that you use, that we have to own responsibility for our spirituality.
Yes.
But that's different for everybody, because for me, I so appreciate that spirituality is, yes, it's inborn, but not always is it activated. Psychic is inborn, but not always is it activated. Yes. Spirituality for me is about powering whatever you do, whether you be a CEO, whether you be a dishwasher, whether you sweep floors, whether you do homekeeping, whether you're an artist, whether you're a tarot reader, healer, dress designer, it doesn't matter. It's about infusing everything with the love, because to me, spirituality literally means the golden thread of love. And I'm not talking about bleeding hearts love here, where sob, you poor thing. I'm talking about unconditional love, where you accept things as they are, but then if it doesn't resonate with you, then change you and heal you and open up, because when you look at you, then you power everything further in loving yourself. And so for me, the energy of responsibility in owning our spirituality is simply to be true to ourselves, in healing ourselves, in starting to love ourselves. Because
also, sorry, Tetka, I'd like to just come in here. I'd also like to explain that we have to know ourselves to be spiritual.
Yeah.
You have to know yourself. Now, many people can do this. People do this, I've discovered, in different ways. Like, for example, people can be very physical. They're like running, to them, that connection to nature brings spirituality to them. Then there are others who prefer to sit in meditation for hours, and that brings spirituality to them. So as you said, everyone is different. We all can find our own spiritual pathway from whatever we are drawn to, but we need to follow our heart and do what we love, which is coming back to what you're saying, which is exactly what each one of us needs to do. We cannot live through other people. We need to live through our own spiritual pathway. And that means keeping all our chakras working in perfect order. Now, for those of you who don't know what chakras are, they are the energy centers of our body. And there are 7 well-known ones. There are many more, but the 7 common ones are our sacral chakra, base chakra, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and crown. Okay, now these are spinning wheels, spinning energy centers in our body that keep our spiritual body cleansed. Okay, and each one of these relates to different areas. Like, example, the throat chakra relates to our voice, to our communication. Our third eye is our intuition, our understanding. For those of you who don't know about chakras, it is worth looking into because it will assist you to help you know your energy body better, because we have a physical body and we have an auric body, which is our energy body. Okay, it's like a shadow of ourselves, but it's all together. It sounds complicated, but it's not. But spirituality is all part of our energy, I feel, not the physical. I don't feel that spirituality has anything to do with our physical, but it affects our physical. For example, it can, if spiritually you are unhappy and you're sad, you can get very sick. So physically, we are affected. Would you agree with that, Tetka?
Sure. But also, too, to understand and appreciate that spirituality and physicality is not separate to each other. It is all one. And I want to reference something from going back into the early 90s. I used to teach meditation and philosophy of life. And in going around the room afterwards and speaking to people, letting them tell their experiences, I was intrigued to note that, some people would really have animals come through, or they would see feathers, or they would see angels, some saw Jesus, etc., etc., etc. And it was fascinating because the people that didn't see Jesus or didn't see this high energy force, suddenly they felt inferior. And it's like, hang on, baby.
Yes.
This isn't real, because at the end of the day, everything is all one. And and our body remembers. And I love the fact that people saw animals, because to me that meant that they were very earthed and grounded. But the message was that your message is no better, no worse than anyone else's. You are not better than because you had this vision. You are not worse than because you had this vision. Your vision is absolutely brilliant and fantastic for you. And
yes.
You know what? That goes into life.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because no one is better or worse than you. We take a different pathway, and so long as we're focused on our inner wealth of truth and love, and and embrace ourselves within light, which is where the chakras come in with color, and that's another story for another day. Yes. We literally are guided one step, and we're never alone, and we can be secure in that nothing will ever befall us. And so the spiritual pathway that then opens up is we negate fear. And that's a biggie, to get beyond fear, because that takes loads of facing your shadow and bringing those aspects of self out that have been held in fear. So, it's a very, very powerful point of reference, and it's one that I feel that people all over the world will have to start embracing, because the old paradigm isn't working of survival. The old paradigm of ego, self-confidence, where you need others' approval, isn't working. But when you have confidence from your spirit, through acknowledging your wealth and knowledge of your spirit and daring to be that, then success is naturally yours.
And it comes back also, Tetka, to love. Okay, love is the answer to everything. Love and gratitude. Love and gratitude. Ego has to be controlled. It must be controlled. I feel that on our planet today, ego has unfortunately taken over in many areas, which it just can't be like that anymore. People have to understand that we need to love one another. We need to live in peace with one another. We need to learn respect for one another, and we need to love one another. And that is the answer to world peace and many other problems that we're facing here on this planet at the moment.
I agree with that, but equally, you cannot love anybody else. You cannot respect anybody else if you don't love and respect yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
So everything comes back. And, I grew up with the phrase, love thy neighbor as thyself, right?
Yes.
And I turn everything on its head, because it's not about loving thy neighbor as thyself, because if you love your neighbor as yourself, then more often than not you'd be warring with them. you know. So love you
First,
so that you can love your neighbor. Because
you
your
have to
neighbor,
love
yeah,
first. You have to love yourself, and you have to know yourself.
yeah,
You
yeah.
have to be in gratitude with yourself, and you have to be at peace with yourself. All these are very strong words that really need to be embraced every day in your life. Because if they're not embraced into your life, I mean, you're on a train that's running at 1,000 miles an hour, and you can't get off. You can't get off. You don't have the time to stop and enjoy your life.
Yeah, but
It's so
equally, I go back into ego as part of a journey to open to spiritual pathways. Ego is not a dirty word.
no,
I,
it's
you
no,
know,
it's not.
it is not a dirty word. It is.
No, but it needs to be controlled. I
Yes,
used the word controlled. Sorry to interrupt. I used the word controlled before because some people let it go too far.
yeah, but that's because they are not aware. But the thing is, our spirit, our soul, will always pull that back into place in some way, shape, or form through a learning lesson.
Through
Um,
learning, yes.
yeah, but see, the positive aspects of ego, willpower. Focus, baby. Focus. I'm focusing on you. I am focusing on that point, and that's where I'm going. Okay, focus, focus. And in order to learn focus, which is where willpower comes in, you put a dot on that wall in front of you, and you look at that dot for as long as you possibly can. That's a great way to harness the energy of focus and to really move beyond. And when you start doing little exercises like that and get your willpower and your focus into play, it's interesting because basically the old energy of self-confidence coming from the paradigm of I've got to prove something to somebody that I'm good or I'm better than or whatever, which is crap. It's like you don't need that old paradigm anymore because you've brought focus and willpower, which is a positive aspect of ego that literally takes you into hallowed ground of a spiritual pathway where your spirit is your self-confidence.
Yeah, that's one thing I love. I love to see the changes. I love to see the changes in people when I'm doing my workshops, which is one of the things we also do on the spiritual pathways journeys when we go overseas and people join with us. The psychics come along, people who want to learn come along, and we always incorporate workshops. And some of them are workshops to learn about tarot, for example, is one. Another one is purely and simply psychic development, which is development of the self. And I love seeing how people change once we go into detail and they have to question themselves about where they're at with their spirituality. And then you bring creativity into it. And it levels people out. It's very interesting, and that is a learning process for all of us. Even myself as a teacher, I find that I am constantly learning from my students. They think I'm teaching them, but I think to myself, my God, you're teaching me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Every time that I've taught, I am so grateful for the participants in the courses because I learn more, and
Yes.
I become the student as I facilitate and educate, and because literally people open me to the opportunity of exploring my wealth, in order to share that for them to be opened up. So I love that giving, receiving, receiving, giving. It's a brilliant synopsis.
It is. It is.
Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to your spiritual pathways journey because
yes, our next one is Bali 2015. We're going to a very spiritual place. It's not for a long time. It's only for 8 days, but Bali in October. Looking forward to that very much so. That encompasses workshops there, visits to temples, purification ceremonies, and I'm really looking forward to joining together with other people to see how this journey is going to assist them to find their own personal pathway in life, because that's what this is all about, that's at least this is what my work is all about now, is helping other people to find their way and assist them in whichever way they need, because everyone's needs are different. But we try and encompass, you know, a general program, and then of course there are there is time spent with each individual that needs it, you know, whatever people need, they will, you know, they will be guided, you know. So yes, looking forward very much to that, and then next year looking forward very much to going to Peru also. You know, that's a very spiritual place as well. You know, the journeys will take us to sacred sites and spiritual centers. That is our plan, you know, with this, which will be wonderful.
Woohoo!
It's pretty big. It's a big one. It's a big one.
It's exciting. Very exciting. Well, sweetheart, I'm going to have to rock and roll with my day.
Likewise.
Do you wish to keep recording and stay on?
No, I think we will cut off now. I'd like to thank all the people that have joined us. You can message me on Twitter at AURANA1 if you would like to know anything further, or you can catch me on Facebook under AURANA Psychic and Tarot Readings, or under Facebook as Ornella Michelini. Always there to assist anyone that needs help, so please contact with any questions. And thank you for joining us, everyone. It's been a pleasure. And Tetka, great having a blab with you again. Always enjoy my time with you.
Before you go, what I want to do is I also want to invite people to my YouTube channel. I've started video blogging, and today just ties in so relevantly with what I video blogged about, which is all about the body and opening up. So I'm just going to hit that into the chat, so that if anyone does want to go and have a look at it, they're welcome, and leave a comment. So thank you, darling. That was just fantastic.
Thank you, Tetka.
Yeah, pleasure.
So, and have a lovely day in our new Australia with the new Prime Minister, and goodbye world for the moment. Please join us again on the next one.
Thanks,
God bless everyone. Bye.
Bye.